Good evening and welcome. This is the commission meeting for the Port of Olympia. It's Monday, December 9th, 2024, and it is 5:31 p.m. And I will officially call this meeting to order. So what do you want to do first? Okay. Commissioner Tong, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Tong. All right, we have an agenda in front of us. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this evening's agenda. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving this evening's agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. And next up is the executive director report. Executive Director Alex Smith.
Thank you, Commission President Ayal. All right, so thing one in our report is we received on December 5th our Avgas tractor trailer. It was delivered to the Port of Olympia. Damian Egan, Ian Guerrero, and Warren Hendrickson went and got the truck. And this is a key step on the port's path to being able to offer and distribute unleaded aviation fuel. We're successful in doing this year, as we hope. We will be in Washington State to do so. And we're very excited, and we thank Damian and Ian for getting their certifications, their trucking certifications, so they can drive this through. And I think the Warren is a big part here in this all along. And then earlier this, I guess it was last week. We attended the Thurston Economic Development Council's regional, I think it was the Economic Forecast and Innovation Expo, and the port had a table there, and it was a great opportunity to hear what's going on in the world of economic development in the region and hear from other leaders in various organizations. We had a chance to do some networking and really appreciated that opportunity, and we always look forward to partnering and being a sponsor of these kinds of events with the Economic Development Council. And then last Thursday, we also had our winter staff appreciation party. It was a great time. We really had an awesome time at the Cove restaurant, where we had some great food and shared some stories and slideshows, and people got a staff appreciation gift. And I think everybody just had we had a white elephant gift exchange as well. It was awesome. And thanks to Commissioners Ayal and Harding for coming. And we look forward to continuing to have a great time with our group in 2025 and look forward to next year's party. And then the port also has participated this year in the Adopt a Family through the Salvation Army. A huge thank you to our staff and the commissioners who have made contributions. We are very excited to make a positive impact for a family in need this season. And given that this is our last commission meeting of the year, just wanted to also wish everybody happy holidays and hope everybody has a chance to relax and enjoy time with family. And then, as always, we appreciate people's input, and these are the various ways you can track what the port is doing and get in touch with us at the port. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments for?
I just want to report that I reported on the Avgas truck to TRPC, and everyone was very excited. So both Tumwater as well as the TRPC folks. So more to come with innovation at the airport.
Yeah,
Exciting.
That's very good. All right, we'll move along to public comment. Individual public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the public may comment on agenda items and other port business. Guidelines for public comment can be found in the commission rules and resolution 2022-09, Article 6. Comments should be directed to the commission as a whole and should not include comments about individual port staff or members of the public. All speakers shall be courteous in language and demeanor and shall confine remarks to those facts that are germane and relevant to the question or issue under discussion. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment this evening? Anybody on Zoom, Missy?
So I've got Carla Wolfsburg on Zoom.
All right, Ms. Wolfsburg.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. Okay, my name's Carla Wolfsburg. I live in Tumwater. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Good, thank you. Okay, so first I'd like to thank Executive Director Alex Smith for responding so quickly to my email this morning with questions I had about something that's coming up on your agenda tonight about the Commissioner's Subcommittee for the Master Planning Process. And her response was really helpful and I very much appreciated it. So thank you, Alex. And my comment now is really in advance of your discussion that's coming up under I, Action Other. And it's regarding that selection of a two-person commissioner subcommittee to work with staff developing the master plan for the Port Peninsula. My questions to Alex included, how would those two commissioners be selected and what criteria might be used? And she explained that the other commissioners would select the two commissioners to be on that subcommittee. I didn't see the criteria or, how they would actually be selected in her cover memo. So that was so helpful. All right, so I would hope the criteria you might consider establishing to select those two commissioners might include the following. Commissioners with a strong concern for looking at the Port Peninsula from the perspective of people who will be living here 75 years in the future. Not just those of us who are living today, but people in the future. What will those people have wanted you to protect for them? The environment? Will they want to use the Port Peninsula to enjoy nature, birds, exploring the natural beauty? What will they have wanted? In addition, of course, what will people today want? But I think we have to think about the future as well. And I think those commissioners should have a commitment to providing open space that the public has said they want now on the Port Peninsula. And commissioners who take into consideration population growth in downtown Olympia, the need for open space, public parks for people who live here. So we might be entitled now to the best views of the Olympic Mountains and Puget Sound from that peninsula and into perpetuity. So those commissioners selected should, I think, also have a clear understanding of the effects of sea level rise on the Port Peninsula and should be very open to working with staff and government agencies and should be committed to involving the general public in structured open houses so that we can discuss every aspect of the Port Peninsula Master Plan with them and with you. And you're not to rely too heavily on what people in 2018 said who participated in the 2050 plan. So I'd like to recommend that the commissioners Savada and Tom be appointed to this subcommittee because in my estimation, they best meet the criteria I just proposed. And since this is your last public meeting in December, I want to wish you all a very relaxing and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolfsburg. Is there any other public comment this evening?
Reiner raised her hand.
Ms. Reiner? You have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I would also like to offer a big happy holidays to everyone here. It's been a rough year for many of us. And so we're doing the best we can to preserve this beautiful, beautiful place that we call Olympia, Washington, because we love it so much. I would like tonight to also echo the concerns that some of us have regarding this this new group forming to look at the master plan. A master plan is so important for the future of Olympia, for the future of Bud Inlet, for the future of our communities. And so many of us have been talking, we have recognized leadership of Port Commissioner Sarah Tong and Jasmine Vasavada. They keep asking questions about the environment, asking questions about the $200 million cleanup of Bud Inlet. They keep asking the good questions that we need to ask because we're looking ahead. We're looking for 7 generations ahead of us. Not just us, what we're going through right now, but 7 generations. And Vasavada and Tong have been asking the good questions. So we're hoping that these 2 members of this committee before us right now can be a part of the master plan group that forms, and this is going to be very detailed work, and I'm hoping Vasavada and Tong ask questions, because you can study this thing your whole life, the cleanup of the isthmus, the cleanup of Bud Inlet, regarding the master plan, and you'll still always learn more every single day. So I would also suggest that we have these 2 individuals that I have named to be a part of the Port of Olympia Commissioners group that will be a part of the master plan discussion as time goes on. I know that this discussion of the master plan brings into play all kinds of issues, especially, some close to our hearts, which is the isthmus. The isthmus out into Bud Inlet is so exquisitely beautiful, and I'm hoping that we can preserve it and not just build more concrete buildings on the isthmus. We also already have many empty buildings in downtown Olympia, building after building, empty, empty, empty. Have you gone through downtown Olympia and see all these concrete buildings that are empty? And now you're proposing to build another concrete building on the isthmus? On this master plan, I hope you can have more open space for future generations so we all can enjoy it. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Reiner? Any other public comment this evening?
Newman has his hand raised.
Sorry, who?
John Newman.
John Newman?
Good evening, commissioners. How are you this evening?
We can hear you fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Yes, I wanted to repeat some of the former 2 speakers about the environment. The port is making some very serious investments in the peninsula for future maritime operations, for dredging, for the marinas, making big plans for additional buildings. I think it's very important that we continue to look at the dioxin issues on the land. I know that there's sampling being done in the water samples, et cetera, but there's some questions about some hotspots near the Hands on Children Museum and their expansion plans. And I think that for the future planning, I agree with the last 2 speakers that Commissioners Vasavada and Tong would do good service to the commission and to the public on decisions for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Any other public comment this evening?
Not seeing any more raised hands.
All right, thank you all very much for your comments and your participation this evening. We'll move on to the consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar. The number 1 is Marine Terminal Warehouse Purchase Contract Award. That was presented by James Summer, Capital Assets Program Manager. And second, we have minutes from November 12th, 2024 on the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent calendar is approved. Moving right along here, pending issues, we have none this evening. Nothing under the action calendar. So we'll move on to action other calendar. which is the Port Peninsula Integrated Master Plan Commission Subcommittee. Alex Smith, Executive Director. You have the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner. And apologies, this seems to be the Alex Smith show tonight. Sorry about that. So bringing before you an action other item, hoping for action this evening, requesting the creation of a Port Peninsula Master Plan Commission Subcommittee. I will talk briefly about what the master plan is, talk about its current status, and talk about the reasoning behind the request for a commission subcommittee. So the master plan is ultimately part of the port's comprehensive plan. It's analogous to a city comprehensive plan, and it's focusing on the specific geography of our Port Peninsula. Its purpose is to identify the long-term vision for future land uses on the peninsula. And what it does is it provides guidance for future decision-making on development proposals that come to the commission for businesses on the Port Peninsula. So the current status of the master planning process is the consultant team has been very busy, and they have been analyzing current land uses on the peninsula and the business operations there, future land uses and business opportunities for the peninsula, economic and community drivers, both currently and looking at the future, and then also incorporating community input in Vision 2050 and Destination Waterfront. They now want to pare down options for further analysis. And this is at a point where really it's the commission level policy decision-making on what those options are that should be analyzed more deeply. So the request for a commission subcommittee is to allow two commissioners to be more involved and be a liaison back to the commission. So we're looking for a 2-member commission subcommittee. It would meet with staff and the consultants to provide policy level input. And it would also be a liaison to the full commission to report out on what your recommendations are to the full commission. And then a counterpart subcommittee of the Olympia City Council is also something that was discussed at the joint meeting with the City Council, and it would allow for this subcommittee and the subcommittee from the City Council to meet and make sure that we are aligned at your level on what we're doing with our Peninsula Master Plan. So this is a sample motion, and as Ms. Wolfberg mentioned, since it's a commission committee, it's really up to the committee to decide how to select the membership. So that's what I relayed to Ms. Wolfberg in response to her question, using whatever criteria you all think is appropriate.
And would that be a subsequent motion? Who would be authorized, or would that be a part of this?
I don't know.
Part of this motion here is you'd have to take a separate action to identify who would be appointed to the committee.
I think the thought was create the or authorize a subcommittee and then select who would be on the subcommittee as a second.
In this conversation now,
That was the thought, but we have it at a work session as well.
just clarifying.
Well, I'll move to authorize a 2-member Port Peninsula Integrated Master Plan Commission subcommittee that will provide policy level input to port staff and consultants and serve as a liaison to the commission and other elected officials.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize a 2-member Port Peninsula Integrated Master Plan Commission subcommittee that will provide policy level input to port staff and consultants and serve as a liaison to the commission and other elected officials. Are there any comments or discussion on this? Actually, we're supposed to take public comment before we vote, but is there any discussion before we take public comment?
Wait till after public comment.
I'll just make a comment, or do you want to wait, all of us to wait?
No.
Go ahead and make your comment.
I think that this will allow us to be more nimble in the process. And I think that any one of us could serve on the 2-member commission and would honor that this is a 5-member commission body. And so decisions that need that level of input would come back or reflect things that the 5-member commission has said. But I think having the 2-member subcommittee will just help us be more efficient and effective. And I would trust any of us to do that.
Any other comments on this?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I want to thank staff for bringing this motion forward. I think it's really special that we're able to resource work on the master planning, but it's essential that it stays really accountable to the community through the commissioners. And so the structure allows two people to invest a little bit more time and work more closely with staff in guiding that consultant team, which I think consultants are here to serve the people of Olympia and Thurston County, not the other way around. And this structure, I think, should be helpful with that. So thank you very much.
Any other discussion?
I just would like to echo what the previous commissioners had mentioned. I think it's really important to be able to have that ongoing dialogue and speaking to the consultants as well as staff to have a better understanding and streamline the process of integrating our decisions within the master planning and open communication from the 2-member committee team to back to the commission to make decisions. But I think it's a great idea to be able to have 2 people focused on that effort.
Any other, nothing?
The comment.
Okay, yeah, well, I would just like to say, I think this is pretty exciting that we're able to utilize the benefits of having a 5-member commission and form a 2-member commission or subcommittee for an important project like this. So that's pretty exciting. So is there any public comment on the motion that's been made?
See no raised hands on Zoom.
Oh,
I've got one, I'm sorry, spoke too soon.
okay, let's go with Clinton first.
Hello, my name is Quentin Phillips. I live in District 3. I'm supportive of the motion that you guys just passed, or the 2-member subcommittee. I also would like to suggest that the Destination Waterfront subcommittee of POCAC meet with the commissioners, meet with the consultants at some point in time under direction from the executive director. So thank you.
Thank you.
John Cezanne on Zoom.
Pardon me?
John Cezanne is on Zoom.
John Cezanne. You have the floor, sir.
Yeah, I would like to support this motion. I think that the commissioner should vote yes on this. I think it's really important that the commissioners be involved as representatives of the public in the development of, as we go forward in the master planning process. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cezanne. Any other public comment?
No more raised hands.
All right, hearing none, I will call for the vote. The motion is to authorize a 2-member Port Peninsula Integrated Master Plan Commission subcommittee that will provide policy level input to port staff and consultants and serve as a liaison to the commission and other elected officials. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so let's open it up for discussion on how to select the 2 members. Or we could just take volunteers or nominations.
I'll just say that go ahead, Commissioner. Oh, I was just gonna say, I nominate Jasmine Basavada to be on the subcommittee and Amy Evans Hardy to be on the subcommittee. And Commissioner Tong and Commissioner Sanders and Commissioner IL in my book. I would defer to who has the time, and I feel like describing what would make a good commissioner representative is any of us. So and I think Commissioner Basavada has expressed an interest. Is that accurate, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the nomination, Maggie, and I would like to serve on this master planning subcommittee to keep it closely connected and put in additional time. It's real work to be available to staff and others and work closely, hopefully, with the advisory committee. And I think it's time well spent if we're going to make a plan for the next 5 to 50 years for the Olympic Peninsula. I mean, the Port Peninsula.
And I feel it's critical that you also serve on the Sea Below Rise as an alternate with me, as well as the Deschutes Estuary Project. And would keep in mind about the butt in limit and the environmental, very important environmental, impacts on what happens on the Port Peninsula. So we support.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You in that role, yeah.
Does anyone else have an interest in?
I'm deeply interested in being a part of this committee if possible. I think I would have the time and I'd be committed to making the time to be part of this and just be able to help connect some other parts of Thurston County and part of this committee. I'm open to not as well, if I know Amy owns, you had an interest, so, if you're interested, I know your term is up sooner as well, so maybe, it goes on.
I think as long, my issue spotting would just be the lens of private sector. And so if the two of you ended up serving, just having an ear for that, just ensuring that I think that you both are interested in the economic development and private sector, public sector integration, but just having an ear for that if the two of you were to serve in that capacity.
And if the commission thinks we have the right experience, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I
Because
think
your real estate experience is the right move, and that's where I've sort of been conflicted on putting myself out there and nominating myself or expressing my interest, because I think you do have that experience. So if the commission thought that would be more valuable at this time, I would refer to that as well.
And I feel the same way about your expertise. I feel like I'm happy to defer also. I think in reflecting back the community, and if we're doing a good job of inviting people in, it's just seeing who's not at the table that's going to be the most important and reflecting that back.
It seems to me that this is a big commitment, and another big commitment coming up will be someone stepping in to fill the shoes of Bob Eyal as our president and chair, if someone else is going to take the reins on that. So I want to put that out there. That's not for decision today. I would love the opportunity to partner with Commissioner Harding on this, sort of being something that serves the whole county, but is located right here in the city of Olympia, the West Bay and the East Bay and all the work going on. So I would welcome that partnership, which we haven't had a chance to work closely, private, public, all of that. But obviously, if it works better for Commissioner Collin to step into that role, how are we going to get to that decision?
Yeah, exactly. That's your part.
I guess Alex, or Executive Director Smith, what would we be reflecting back more what the community was saying? You're saying how you see that going?
I think there's all sorts of different options. We've got this basically land mass that currently is zoned for certain uses and it's being used for certain things. And the question is, what else could be there, or do we want to continue what the current uses are? And so it's that real sort of future look at, what kinds of land uses do we want on the terminal, or I guess the peninsula. The terminal currently is one of the last industrial areas in downtown and on the waterfront. Is that something that we want to maintain or we want to give up? Do we want to reduce footprint? Do we want what kinds of other uses would we want out towards North Point? There's all sorts of it's a policy level decision that really is not staff's to make. It's for those kinds of land use decisions.
And where do you see the nexus of the two-member subcommittee and what then elevates? Because some of those questions I feel like are of the level that they need the full commission to chew on them. So where do you see that? How do you see the different filter of what is before the two-member commission on behalf of the full commission versus the full commission?
Right. I think it's sort of vetting some of the analysis that the consultants have done, say, on the different kinds of industries that could also go there. Or if they also looked at sort of mixed use development in various configurations on the Port Peninsula, how realistic is that? And then also just based on understanding of the community and where the community would like to go, how realistic is it that that would be a good option for this community? And then looking at other, like what industries do we want to be promoting as a port, or you as port commissioners want to be promoting on the peninsula? It's all those kinds of things, and hoping that there could be some initial filtering of some of that, or at least vetting of it, that then could be carried back to the fuller commission.
And what do you think the realistic time commitment in addition to our other commission duties? Is it one meeting a month? Is it?
Yeah, I think we try to minimize it and really try to do a lot of pre-work to package it up so that we aren't taking huge amounts of your time. I'd say, right, yeah, I'd say one meeting a month is probably about right. And hopefully we'd be able to pare it down to less than that. Or unless you want more, Commissioner Vasari.
I guess I would see, Commissioner Sanders mentioned the nexus with sea level rise and sort of long-term planning. I see a nexus also with the Thurston Regional TRPC work. One of our biggest challenges is being a major landowner that has this public stewardship of these lands, but connecting to neighboring jurisdictions that are the actual authorities for how our city and county are going to grow. And I think connecting to those processes and making them valuable, like, is that's real work outside of the internal port meeting. It's being able to bring that connectedness.
Well, I would just like to say we have 3 excellent candidates. I personally, I like the I guess the different perspectives that we would see with Commissioner Basavada and Commissioner Harding as the subcommittee. But I don't want to discount what Commissioner Tong could potentially bring to the subcommittee. So maybe as just a thought that we have a motion to without a motion, a nomination. We have nominations for Commissioner Basavada and Commissioner Harding. And then maybe we agree to have Commissioner Tong as an alternate should something come up that you folks or one of you can't are unable to make a meeting or something like that. Just a thought.
That seems completely fair, because I don't think my personal interest should trump what is best for the port, and I think you two would do an excellent job together with the contrast.
What do you mean? We agree on everything? Just kidding, nothing.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
Have that balance.
Yeah, I do think that Commissioner Basavada and I probably can contrast and bring in different points of view. So if you're comfortable with that, Commissioner Tong, I'd be happy to dig into that.
And my goal would be to bring to the commission weekly or whenever we're meeting updates on anything that I'm tracking and spending time on, so that you stay really connected to them.
And I will just say, I am not very comfortable making large decisions on behalf of the commission without at least some sense of where everyone's at. Like, if we're gonna be talking about apartments, that is, in my opinion, we need more feedback from the whole commission body. And then we can nudge, but I would be deferring to, and maybe it's having one-on-ones in between the meetings so that we're continuing to move things forward, but
or even just flagging to Director Smith, oh, I think this is a really important thing to brief everybody in.
And one of the things that when we were in our work session and we were working on, I don't know what we were calling it, our mission statement, I think getting clear guidance from the commission body at the onset of what your priorities are would help send us off in the right direction. Because even within that first meeting, Commissioner Basavada and I were disagreeing. So that's where the 5-member commission needs to give us our marching orders if that is the role we're gonna play.
All right, well, would we, maybe want to put your nominations into a motion? May I suggest the motion be, the motion to, is to appoint Commissioner Vasavada and Commissioner Harding to the master plan subcommittee with Commissioner Tong appointed as an alternate? Does that work for everyone?
I make that motion.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we have a motion to appoint Commissioner Vasavada and Commissioner Harding to the master plan subcommittee with Commissioner Tong appointed as alternate. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have a subcommittee.
Thank you very much.
Is that the first one?
Thanks.
It is.
Yeah, look at us.
Outstanding. Okay, moving on to advisory calendar. We have the Port of Olympia Citizens Advisory Committee resolution and member term extensions. This one's gonna go to Executive Director Alex Smith.
Oh. Thank you so much, Commissioner Isle. Yes, so this is following up on a briefing that the POCAC did for the commission earlier this year, and getting at some restrictions that are in the current resolution for POCAC membership. And wanted to just amend the resolution to provide some more flexibility and also look at extending the terms of some members whose terms were impacted by COVID. So it's an advisory only. We will come back to at the first meeting in January for action. And it's both requesting an update to the POCAC resolution and a reappointment or extension of POCAC members' terms. So the Citizens Advisory Committee's makeup and operations are governed by a 2024 resolution. That resolution limits the POCAC members to serving just 2 consecutive 3-year terms. And current POCAC members' terms were affected by COVID such that they participate on the POCAC for less than a full 3 years. And some POCAC members would like to serve for more than 2 terms, as well as the folks who were affected by COVID would like to have an extension. So in terms of amendments to Resolution 2024-08, the proposal is to amend the section of the resolution that addresses the terms of POCAC members, it's Section 8, by removing the language that limits members to 2 consecutive terms, and then also giving the commission more flexibility in terms of discretion to appoint, reappoint, or extend the terms of POCAC members to ensure continuity of POCAC operations. As you may have seen in the packet, there's something like half of the current POCAC members' terms would all expire at the end of this year if we didn't take some alternate action. So the COVID extensions, Tom Simoniak, thank you, is actually, he has chosen not to extend his term. So when we bring this back to you, he will no longer be part of the extension. But position 1, Joel Hansen, they'd like to extend to December 31st of 2027. Debbie Patton extend to December 31st of 2025. Members who are new and were not impacted by COVID, positions 9, 11, 12, and 14. James Thornton, Bob Wabana, Quentin Patanud, they'd like to be extended through December 31st of 2027. So next steps are at the January 13th, 2025 meeting, we'll seek commission approval of the amendments that were in your packet to POCAC Resolution 2024-08. Commission approval of extending the terms of the POCAC members in positions 1, 9, 11, 12, and 14 through December 31st of 2027. And then also commission approval of extending the term of the POCAC member in position 2, Debbie Patton, through December 31st of 2025. And time for questions and comments. And we also have Quentin Phillips here. If there's anything you'd like to add, Quentin, on this, or okay.
All right.
So in section 8, I don't believe in perpetuity on boards. I greatly value the commitment of the POCAC in the extenuating circumstances of COVID. I just might make a friendly amendment suggestion for the consideration of the commissioners, that maybe leaving the language in that says the POCAC members shall each serve no more than, and could it be a larger number? Could we do up to, 4 consecutive 3-year terms for a total of 12 years? And then keeping the modification that says the Port Commission may at its discretion reappoint or extend the terms in extenuating circumstances, but so that it doesn't become the norm that people are just reappointed in perpetuity. Because I think that's good governance. I think most boards, most of the ones I've served on, it's 12 years. And you at least have to take a 1-year break and then you can come back. But something that doesn't, and I want to be clear that every single person listed, I want on the POCAC for as long as possible. And I think good governance would say that it shouldn't just be forever for everyone.
And not the same, I would completely agree, and not the same board of people forever. We need to continue to switch it out in some way to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
We will be sad to see some members go as time goes on.
Yeah.
Fresh perspectives for good governance.
Yes. So I guess in recap, my suggestions would be extend it to 4 3-year terms. Leave that part in the first portion of section 8, and then leave the modification in the second part of section 8 that says the Port Commission has the discretion to extend. So if the Port Commission thinks it rises to the level of doing it, then you could extend as long as you want, but does anyone disagree with that? Quentin, does that feel respectful and honoring of the commitment of the POCAC membership while creating a structure of good governance? Okay.
All right, shall we see if there's any public comment on the advisory committee resolution?
Raised hands at the moment.
All right. Well, if there's no other discussion within the commission here, we'll move on to commissioner reports and discussion. Let's just start. Commissioner Tong, do you have anything you'd like to report or discuss this evening?
No, I don't have any.
Commissioner Sanders, anything?
I'm just wishing everyone a nice holiday break
Yay.
to match your tie.
Oh, that's so cute.
See, I didn't want to be the only one that didn't have something holiday on tonight.
Oh, we should have some Santa hats or Hanukkah shirts.
Yeah, all right. I have socks also, just so you know. Well, I just wanted to say a couple of things. Once, I just wanted to shout out to the Thurston EDC and their economic forecast summit. That's one of my favorite events every year, and they always do a great event there. And I think there's a good opportunity for the port to be involved in that, and appreciate our staff being there and being available that day. So that was a lot of fun. And then also the employee appreciation event was a lot of fun. I just appreciate so much our staff that's with us these days, and the work they do, and we've made some great progress this year, and it's really all because of their commitment and dedication to the port. And so we really appreciate all of you. Commissioner Basavida, anything?
Oh, just I'm glad to be back in person at the meeting, and I'm sorry I missed all those holiday events and celebrations of other employees. Had something like a walking pneumonia. So I'm excited now to be turning the page and ready for the new year. I'll be going to Bellevue later this week, at least for part of the time. There's a annual Washington Public Ports Association conference. So I look forward to meeting with colleagues there, and hope you all have a really great holiday break.
I'm excited to work with Commissioner Posavita on the master planning process and get that rolling. My quote of the day is from Nietzsche. And he said, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike rather than those who think differently."
Let that sink in for a moment.
I was like screenshotting on my phone. I'm like, yes, for the commission meeting. Facebook algorithms really know me well.
Pretty good, thank you. Is there any other business this evening?
I had one question about our executive director review process and whether that needed to be.
That will be on our agenda in the first meeting in January. So apologies, I didn't get it on here tonight, but we'll address that first thing in January.
Sorry, just chopped in.
No problem. Any other business this evening? Let's see, who wants to do meeting announcements?
Great, thank you. Well, in part, I'm super excited. So thank you, commissioners, for all your work this year, and you now have until January 13th off. So the next commission regular business meeting is January 13th at 5:30 p.m. here in our commission meeting room. Then a commission work session will be on a Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, because there is a holiday the day before. And then also on Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 is here in this meeting room. And then the next regular business meeting for the commission in January will be on the 27th here in Crispo Plaza. And Quentin has a thought.
Well, since the advisory committee meetings at 5 p.m.
It is at 5 p.m.
Yes,
Oh,
I made a change to help stay up.
excellent. Great. Okay, excellent. We'll make a note of that. Thanks.
All of them? Or that one?
All of them. Yeah. That's a long night. Otherwise, yeah.
Alex, I got permission from the president to ask you a question. I was a little out of commission, and so I wasn't unable to attend the town hall for the most. Are you able to share a little bit about it? I might have missed it first thing as well.
Yeah, it was great. We had, I think maybe 7 or 8 people here in person, another 9 or so on Zoom. And Damien was just there to answer questions. He introduced himself. There were some great questions. It was mostly Swantown Marina residents or folks, events or users. And it was a good conversation. We were there for about an hour and a half-ish. And it was great. Yeah.
Any themes or follow-up?
There was only one follow-up. There was a great conversation about the best way to notify if things like for some of the Swantown residents, like what happens if the washer breaks? What's the best way to make sure somebody is notified of that? And so we talked that out a little bit, and I think figured out a good way for people to make those notifications so it can get fixed pretty quickly. That's good information. Yeah. Awesome.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? Hearing nothing, this meeting is adjourned.